In the world of conspiracy theories, there's one conspiracy theory that stands above all others. It's Project Bluebeam. It definitely takes the cake. It has all the elements to have a great conspiracy theory. It involves the government, it involves aliens and UFOs, and it involves the one world government and even religion. But in this video, I'm gonna keep it kind of on topic. I'm gonna be talking about Project Bluebeam as it relates to the UFO field, and seeing these things in the sky, because a lot of people nowadays are seeing these things. There's a lot of weird stuff happening too. Like there's these mass sightings going on, like the Miami Mall incident, that incident in Las Vegas before that. A lot of weird stuff going on. Now, I want to talk about this because I was thinking, how are you gonna know what is a legit UFO, like extraterrestrial craft, and what is one of these Project Bluebeam holographic, fake UFO craft? I guess I should get into what Project Bluebeam actually is for those who aren't familiar with it. It's a conspiracy theory that involves using a staged UFO invasion, alien invasion, to completely demoralize the people, make everyone totally desperate for peace and I don't know. Yeah, I guess just peace and not getting killed by aliens. It involves this alien invasion, a fake alien invasion, and they're gonna use that alien invasion to establish a one world government. But the thing is, the craziest part is that what the plan apparently is to introduce a one world religion, and that'll be the intervening force that intervenes between the aliens and us. And so it is a really crazy conspiracy theory. I can't say that it's a reality or not, obviously, but I like reading up on it. I don't know how far it would go. I feel like they would test it, right? They would start off with the fake UFO invasion, and they would do this using hologram technology, advanced hologram technology, which we don't know the extent to which that technology goes. We don't know exactly what kind of technology they have. A lot of people will say the technology to create convincing holographic UFOs doesn't really exist yet, but that's just what the people know. They could have anything. These people, the government, these higher levels of government, these black programs, they reverse engineer UFO craft to make their own, which would also be used in the fake alien invasion. And they don't even have to do stuff like that. They don't have to do holograms or UFO craft. They could just do stuff on the internet like they do nowadays with all kinds of other stuff. They could just write stuff that's not even true, that never even happened, and people would believe it. Yeah, they can also, if you think of, remember the War of the Worlds radio program way back in the day? They convinced people that aliens were invading from a radio show. So just imagine what they can do with hologram technology, with legit reverse engineered UFO craft, and with the internet. And we saw what they did, 5 years ago to the world. I feel I'm not going to really get into that and my thoughts on that at all, but it really shows how populations can be affected by events. And something like a virus, that's an invisible thing that you can't see, a real virus. It's an invisible thing you can't see, but you believe it to be a reality, right? Because there's viruses out there, people get sick, but it's something you can't see. And imagine if it's something you can actually experience, right in front of you, like UFO craft, alien beings, you'd believe it, probably. I've seen UFO craft, and I believe it. The thing is, what is the difference between someone like me seeing these UFO craft and these Project Bluebeam staged experiences? I feel like these Project Bluebeam holograms and whatnot would be presented to a mass audience, a big group of people, like the Miami Mall incident and the Las Vegas incident, and it'd be all over the news. The legit experiences where people are, like regular people, are witnessing genuine UFO craft, those are like individual cases. And a lot of them go unreported too. I think the legit UFOs will present themselves to the right people. I think maybe I filmed all that stuff in the sky and experienced that because I have a platform to share it on. Possibly. I can be like, yo, all this crazy stuff happened that I filmed. Here it is. You guys can have a look, and I don't know what to make of it. Like, what do you guys think? You know, I can put stuff out there with having an audience of great people. And it's a lot more trustworthy than, you know, the news and what they want you to believe. Okay, it's going to be normal people that provide the disclosure. It's not going to be the government, I don't think. It's going to be real good, trustworthy people who, you know, are really into the subject and, you know, believe it and are open to all the possibilities. It's not going to be these shady-ass people in the government, you know, who want you to believe all kinds of things. So anyways, that's what I think about Project Bluebeam. The guy who, like, initially came to the public with that idea, his name's Serge Monet. He was like a Canadian writer, journalist kind of guy. And back in the 90s, I think it was 96, he had his, like, children taken away from him for whatever reasons by the government. And then a bit later that year, he, like, put out all this information in, like, a book or whatnot. And they ended up arresting him for spreading disinformation. They put him in jail for a night. Well, the very next day, this guy ends up having a heart attack. Okay? Like, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Maybe he was stressed out because he was arrested and whatnot. He was in his 50s. I mean, a lot of people have heart attacks in their 50s, but the timing is real weird. As soon as he gets out of jail, he has a heart attack? I don't know about that. We've seen what happens to whistleblowers. This stuff happens far too often. Either they have a heart attack or they off themselves. So, it happens all the time. Sounds crazy. I know the word conspiracy theory is frowned upon by many. I like reading up on them because I like to have an open mind, because we don't really know what's going on with anything, I don't think. You know, we put our trust in systems, but we don't really know how much we can trust them. And it's weird, like, what happened 5 years ago to the world. That all happened, and then immediately after, they start coming out with this UFO stuff in the news, like, big time. Like, all this disclosure stuff you see, all these hearings. The timing is crazy. It's almost like what happened 5 years ago was like a test run, a practice run to see how they can control the people. And now they're testing the waters with the UFO stuff. It's just weird timing that makes me really think about it. Like, if Project Bluebeam isn't real, it's just a coincidence, I guess. That Serge Monet guy, he said back in the day, like, oh, this is going to happen at so-and-so date or at this time, and then it wouldn't happen. And then he said, oh, but it's going to happen in the year 2000 or whatever, and then it never happened. And so people were like, he kept claiming it's going to happen then, and it never happened, so it can't be real. He's making it all up. But it seems like it could very possibly be happening now. Like, now could be the time. I've always thought the disclosure thing was weird. And there's still, like, these people that are at these hearings, like that David Grush guy or whatever his name is. They can't say what needs to be said. And, like, they're told what they can and cannot say. It's all controlled. You think they're actually going to just go on a hearing on TV and be like, yeah, there's aliens here, and tell the truth about it? No. And they want you to think that's the other thing, they want you to think it's a threat. They say in those hearings, like, this is a national security threat, and that's all in Project Bluebeam. They want you to think they're a threat, and we have to, like, prepare to fight against them, potentially. To have this war against these aliens. And if it gets far enough, if people aren't going to band together as one race, or as one, not race, as one, I don't know what you'd call it, one world government or order, if people aren't ready to do that, then maybe that's when they'll bring in this like staged, they want to stage the second coming of Christ, supposedly. And what would that do? A lot of people would believe it, and a lot of people wouldn't. So I don't know how that would go. I mean, there's a lot of groups in the world, in various parts of the world, who would be pretty, like, bent out of shape if somebody told them to try and change their beliefs. You know? So I don't know how far it would go. But they always end up doing what they want to do anyways. It's just something we have to be thinking about when we see this stuff. There was, like, a mass UFO sighting in Tehran, in Iran or wherever, and you can find video clips of it on like TikTok. There's a lot of video clips of it, and it's like a silver gray saucer with like green lights on it, very clear and very close and low, flying over the city and whatnot. And a lot of people, different people, filmed it, and it just looks like something that you would see in a movie. Like, it doesn't look like a legit UFO. It looks like something out of a movie. So they could be testing this stuff. That could be Project Bluebeam. It really could be. I feel like a lot of these things, the genuine UFOs, they won't look like what you'd expect at this point. I think they're going to show up as various light forms, light entities, orbs. A lot of people see these orbs in the sky. I think they're probably going to make it easy for us to detect. Like, the actual aliens, the actual ETs are going to make it easy for us to detect. Because I don't think, like, there could be various alien races visiting Earth, and I don't think all of them are bad. I think there's good ones. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, like I said in previous videos before, that in various points in human history, UFOs, like genuine UFOs, would show up and appear to people so that they perceive them as something they understand. Like, because in various points in history, people's understanding of the world and the universe was different, right? It was very primitive way back in the day compared to now. So whereas like back in the 30s and 40s, you would see like a nuts and bolts metal flying saucer. That was easier to understand back then, you know. Nowadays, a lot of people see light. They show up as light anomalies and whatnot, because our understanding of the universe and of like quantum physics and everything is a lot further along than it was back then. So I think it all depends. I think they can choose what you see them as. I really do. But yeah, it's just something we should keep an eye on. Okay? Don't immediately believe everything you see on TV, especially these mass UFO sightings, and especially if it's coming from the news. Honestly, I'd rather be watching videos on YouTube from like regular people seeing these things, because usually they're just as shocked as, you know, like it's you can tell when somebody has actually seen something, the way they describe it, and like a lot of times you can just tell it's genuine. I just really hope people don't get fooled by these Project Bluebeam things. You know, if it's actually what's going on. It's just the timing is weird. It's all over the news now. After, you know, the last 5 years, it's just weird. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Project Bluebeam. Is it real or is it not? Is it happening? Kind of feels like it might be. Could be the very start. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.